No wants, no demands, just agreeing with everything. My best buddy said Lebanon was better than Kobe. I said, true. My desk mate said Zhang Yuanin was prettier than Liu Jimin. I said, true. After all, the Asian Bureau said so too. Until I met Qinghan. She never discussed other people with me. She just put me down. My name is Li Q. My mom said. She gave me that name because she hoped I would be honest, resolute, and have a mind of my own. Clearly, I disappointed her. I have lived for 23 years. My defining trait is having no opinions of my own, no matter what people say. My first response is always one word. True. One time, my buddy Big Liu and I were watching basketball in our dorm. He suddenly slapped his bed and shouted, Lebanon is better than Kobe. Admit it or not? I said, true. After all, Lebanon had more career points than Kobe. Big Liu froze. He had 100 arguments ready to debate me. Instead, it was like punching a pillow. After holding it in for ages, he finally said, can you have an opinion for once? I said, true. I should have an opinion. During a large lecture, my desk mate was scrolling on her phone when she suddenly shoved the screen in my face. Look, isn't Zhang Yuanin prettier than Liu Jimin? I glanced at it. Honestly, I could not tell which was which, but I nodded anyway. True. After all, the Asian Bureau said so too. My desk mate froze too. She asked, who is the Asian Bureau? I said, Danking. She was silent for a long time. Then she quietly took back her phone. After that, she never asked me questions like that again. That is me. If someone says it is black, I say, true, it is black. If someone says it is white, I say, true, it is white. My life was as still as a stagnant pond. Until I met Qinghan. The first time I saw Qinghan was during our sophomore fitness test. The track was packed at the end of October. The men ran 1,000 meters. The women ran 800 meters. After I finished my event, I was squatting by the track, drinking water. Then I saw her. She was on her final lap. She ran fast, her ponytail swinging behind her. But as she neared the finish line, her stride suddenly faltered. She staggered and nearly fell. Bracing herself on her knees, she gasped for air. Her face was white as paper. Several girls rushed over. Qinghan, are you okay? She waved them off. She could not say a word. I do not know what came over me. Maybe it was my gentlemanly instincts. I stood and walked over. I held out the other bottle of iced mineral water I had just bought. I had never done anything like that before. Have some water. She looked up at me. Her face really was beautiful, but beautiful enough to make people afraid to approach. Her brows were long and slender, the corners of her eyes slightly upturned. Her lips were pressed into a thin line. She watched me for 2 seconds, then took the water. I thought she would thank me. Instead, she unscrewed the cap and took a sip. Then she frowned at me. Do you not know you should not drink cold water after intense exercise? I opened my mouth. She was right. Drinking ice water after intense exercise really was not good. But for some reason, after more than 20 years of living, it was the first time the word true felt so hard to say. I looked at her, and she looked back at me. It was very quiet, waiting for my response. I took a deep breath before forcing out that difficult word. True. You should not drink cold water after intense exercise. It is bad for your stomach. She probably expected me to explain, apologize, or feel embarrassed. But I did none of that. I only agreed with what she said. She opened her mouth, as if she wanted to say something. In the end, she only managed, forget it. Thanks. She returned the bottle, then turned and left. After 2 steps, she looked back. By the way, what is your name? Li Q. She repeated it. The corner of her mouth twitched. I could not tell whether she wanted to laugh or pout. Your name is just like you. True. With that, she left. I watched her walk away. For the first time, I felt the word true, when spoken by someone else, sounded a little strange. Later, I learned her name was Qinghan. She was a year ahead of me in the School of Economics and Management. Our second meeting was at the library. That day, I found a leisure read and curled up in a corner with it. I was completely absorbed when someone suddenly sat across from me. I looked up. It was Qinghan. She wore a light gray sweater that day, her hair loose around her shoulders. She looked a little softer than she had at the fitness test, but her gaze at me was still cold. Li Q. She said nothing, only stared at me for a few seconds. Then she lowered her head, pulled a thick textbook from her bag, and began reading. I was a little confused. There were so many empty seats in the library. Why sit across from me? But I did not ask. She read. So did I. The library was perfectly quiet, except for the sound of turning pages. After about half an hour, she suddenly looked up. You did it on purpose. You wanted to get to know me. I looked up. What? At the fitness test. She stared at me. Did you deliberately hand me that bottle of water? I thought about it, then shook my head. It was not on purpose. I bought extra water, so I just handed it over. Just handed it over? Yes, just handed it over. She frowned again. Apparently, she was not satisfied with that answer. After a few seconds of silence, she suddenly said, Do you think this makes you special? What? Acting like you do not care. Answering everything with true. She mimicked my tone. She did a pretty good job of it. Do you think acting like that makes you cool? I was silent for 2 seconds. Then I said, True. I do think I am pretty cool. She froze. I added, But you said that, not me. You said I think I am cool. So I think I am cool. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again, then closed it again. Finally, she snapped her book shut. She stood and walked away without looking back. I watched her disappear behind the bookshelves. Then I lowered my head and kept reading. 5 minutes later, she came back. I forgot my cup. She picked up her cup. This time, she really left. After that, I began running into Qinghan all the time. The cafeteria, the track, the classroom buildings. Outside the gates, the library. The campus was not that big, so running into each other was normal. But the way she looked at me always made me feel. These chance encounters were not so accidental. Every time she saw me, she had to say something. In the cafeteria, I was carrying my tray and looking for a seat. She was sitting in a corner and waved me over. There is an empty seat here. The moment I sat down, she said, Why do you eat so fast? Like you were starving to death in a past life. I looked at my tray. I had only just started eating, but I still said, True. I do eat a little fast. At the track, I was taking a walk around it. She caught up from behind and walked alongside me. You came to run too. I am walking. She scoffed. Why are you taking a walk at your age? You are like some retiree already. I said, True. I guess I am an old soul. Outside the classroom building, students poured out after class. She squeezed over beside me, bumped my shoulder, and asked, You take this class too? Yeah. How have I never seen you? I said, Maybe because I sit in the back row. She rolled her eyes. The back row? Do you have social anxiety or something? I said, True. I really do not like dealing with people. That day, she held it in for a long time, before finally blurting out, Indeed, are you doing this on purpose? I said, True. I am doing it on purpose. Her eyes lit up. You admit it. I admit that you are right. You said I was doing it on purpose. So I am doing it on purpose. The light in her eyes faded again. Sometimes, I thought, Qinghan was pretty strange. 8 out of every 10 things she said were criticisms of me. But whenever I agreed with her, she seemed even less happy. One time, she finally could not take it anymore. She asked me, Can't you contradict me just once? I said, Why would I argue? Because what I said was wrong. What is wrong? She thought about it and got a little stuck. For one thing, in what way do you eat fast? You obviously eat very slowly. I said, The next time, I will say, True. I do not eat fast. She stamped her foot. That is not what I mean. Then what do you mean? She opened her mouth but could not say anything. Finally, she glared at me angrily. Forget it. There is no explaining it to you. Then she turned and ran off. I watched her leave, unable to understand it. I had clearly been agreeing with her the whole time. Why was she getting angrier instead? Big Liu said, Are you stupid? We were sitting in our dorm room. He analyzed the situation while playing a game. That Qinghan, the college's resident beauty. Do you know how many guys are after her? No. A whole lot, anyway. He turned to look at me. She comes to talk to you every day. Have you never wondered why? I said, Maybe she just likes finding fault with people. Big Liu rolled his eyes. Finding fault with you? Why does she not find fault with me? I said, True. Why does she not find fault with you? Big Liu slammed down his mouse. Indeed. Are you actually stupid or just pretending? I said, True. I do not know whether I am actually stupid or pretending. Big Liu was thoroughly exasperated with me, but he finally sighed and patted my shoulder. Buddy, All I can tell you is this. If a girl seeks you out every day and always finds excuses to talk to you, then she probably likes you. I said, that makes sense. So, what are you going to do? I thought about it. I do not know. Big Liu gave up trying to communicate with me altogether. Qinghan graduated during my junior year. Before she left, we ran into each other once at the campus gate. She stood among the crowd in her graduation gown holding a bouquet. I was cycling past her. She suddenly called out to me, Li Q. I brake, putting one foot on the ground. She ran over and stopped in front of me. The sunlight was harsh, and she squinted at me. The tassel on her cap hung beside her. I am graduating. Exactly. I will graduate in a year or two. She waited for a few seconds, as if expecting me to say something else. But I did not. She asked again, is that all you have to say? I thought about it. I wish you a bright future. She frowned. That is it. I did not know what else to say. I wanted to say, exactly. But in the end, I did not open my mouth. She stared at me for several seconds. Then she suddenly smiled. Not a cold or mocking smile. She was genuinely smiling. Her eyes curved like crescents, and the corners of her mouth lifted. I had never seen her smile like that. Li Q, you really are strange. I nodded. But you are strange in an interesting way. With that, she turned and ran back. The hem of her gown fluttered behind her, like a white butterfly. After that, I never saw Qinghan again. I graduated, found a job, rented an apartment, and went to work. Life went on as usual, dull as a glass of plain water, and I was still the same as ever. My coworkers said the project was difficult. I said, exactly, it is difficult. My boss said everyone had worked hard lately. I said, exactly, we have. The client said the proposal still needed revisions. I said, exactly, it needs revising. All my coworkers said I was easygoing and mild-tempered. Until the day Human Resources brought in a new colleague to show her around. This is our new product manager, Qinghan. She will be managing your team from now on. I looked up, and our eyes met. She was much more mature than before, but those eyes had not changed. Their outer corners still tilted slightly upward. Cool and distant whenever she looked at someone. She looked at me, her lips moving slightly. Li Q, the Human Resources representative, looked surprised. You know each other. We went to college together. Qinghan pointed to the empty desk across from mine. I will sit here. Human Resources left. She sat down and set her bag aside, then looked at me. I never thought I would run into you here. I said, exactly. Neither did I. How have you been? I said, not bad. She raised an eyebrow. That word, exactly. Are you never going to stop saying it? I said, exactly. Maybe I never will. She smiled. That familiar smile with a hint of disdain. All right. I look forward to working with you, old classmate. I thought we could finally get along, like normal co-workers. But I was wrong. Qinghan was still Qinghan. She never had anything nice to say. One time, I worked late into the night. As I was leaving, I found she was still there too. I poured her a glass of water and set it on her desk. She looked up at me. Still here this late? I was about to leave. I saw you were still here, so I brought you some water. She picked up the glass and took a sip, then frowned. It is lukewarm. I like hot water. I said, exactly. Hot water does warm you up more. Next time, I will bring you hot water. She froze for a moment, her expression complicated. Another time, I was looking at my phone during lunch break. I came across a funny short video and could not help laughing out loud. She happened to be returning with her lunchbox. She glanced at me. Your laugh is ugly. I said, exactly. My laugh is not very attractive. She frowned as if she wanted to say something, but in the end, she said nothing. Then one time, I was genuinely in a bad mood. It was not because of her. It was family trouble. My mother called to say my father was not well. I was worried. I was down all day. She seemed to notice. At afternoon tea, she suddenly came over and placed a milk tea on my desk. Have something sweet. It will lift your mood. I looked up at her. Her face was a little red, but her words remained sharp. Do not read into it. It was buy one, get one free. It would be wasteful not to drink it. Thank you, she said. You look even uglier when you cry. I froze. I am not crying. The tears in the corners of your eyes do not lie. I pressed my lips together. In the end, I sighed and said, exactly. I am not in a good mood today. She opened her mouth, as if she wanted to ask something, but merely clicked her tongue and turned away. The milk tea was hot, with 70% sugar, exactly the flavor I liked. I did not know how she knew. Day after day passed. Qinghan was still the same. She never had a kind word to say. Whenever I spoke during meetings, she would say, "Your proposal makes no logical sense." But after the meeting, she would secretly message me, reorganizing the points I had just made, with plenty of additional suggestions. If I ordered too much takeout and could not finish it, she would complain that I was wasteful, then quietly eat the remaining half for me. If I worked late, she would say, "You are terribly inefficient." But the next morning, there would be an extra coffee on my desk. I knew what she was thinking. I was not stupid, but I did not know what to do. Big Liu was right. She liked me. She had liked me since college, but she never said it. And me? I did not know whether I liked her. Or rather, I did not even know what liking someone felt like. For 23 years, other people's opinions and emotions, I had accepted them all without ever arguing back. But in doing so, it seemed I had lost my own emotions too. I did not know what I wanted. I did not know what I liked, including whether I liked her. One night, we worked late. Only the two of us were left in the office. She packed her things to leave, but paused at the door. She looked back at me. "Li Q." She hesitated. "Are you really going to keep living like this?" I said. "Like what? You do not care about anything. You say exactly to everything." She frowned. "Do you not have any thoughts of your own? Is there nothing you want to fight for?" I thought about it and said, "Exactly. Maybe there is not." Her expression changed. It was not anger. It was something else. Something flickered in her eyes, then faded. "Fine. Forget I asked." She left, and the door closed behind her. I was the only one left in the office. I sat there, staring blankly at my computer screen. For some reason, I could not sleep that night. I remembered what she was like in college. I remembered her taking the bottled water on fitness test day. Frowning as she said, "Do you not know? You should not drink cold water after strenuous exercise." I remembered her asking me in the library if I was doing it on purpose, and the way she mimicked how I spoke. I remembered her in her graduation gown that day, smiling as she said, "You are strange, but kind of interesting." I remember the look in her eyes just now. That look made me feel uneasy. It was not a clear pain with an obvious cause. It was dull, an unplaceable ache, like something was lodged in my heart. I wondered if I should do something. The next day, I made a decision. I was going to confess. Not because I was sure I liked her, but because I wanted to see her reaction. I wanted to see what she would say. If I told her I liked her, given her personality, she would surely say something like, "But I do not like you." Then I could say, "Exactly," and everything could go back to how it was. I knew it was a stupid idea. A confession is not something you use as a test, but I truly did not know what else to do. That afternoon, I asked her to meet me on the rooftop after work. She was surprised, but she agreed. The wind was fierce on the rooftop. The distant sun was sinking, dyeing half the sky orange-red. She stood by the railing. Her hair was slightly tousled by the wind. "What did you need?" I took a deep breath. "Qinghan. Yeah, I like you." She froze. The wind swept between us, lifting strands of her hair. She stood perfectly still, like a statue. Several seconds passed. Before she spoke, her voice trembling slightly. "What did you say?" I said I like you. She opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again. "But I do not like you." I nodded. Then I said the words I had prepared long ago. "Exactly. After all, I am not a likable person either." Her face went white at once. Not an ordinary kind of pale. All the color had drained from it in an instant. She stared at me, eyes wide, her lips moving, but no sound came out. I had never seen her like that. "Li Q." Her voice trembled slightly. I just said it on instinct. I said, "It is okay. You are right. I really am not likable. No, I am heading down. I still have some work to finish." I turned around, pushed open the door, and went down the stairs. Halfway down, I heard a faint sound behind me, somewhere between a sob and a laugh. My heart felt both relieved and tangled. I thought that after that life would become a calm, uneventful line just as before. But from that day on, Qinghan changed. She stopped saying things just to wait for me to argue back. When I got to work in the morning, breakfast was already on my desk. The steamed bun and soy milk were still warm. I looked up at her. She sat across from me, pretending to look at her computer. The tips of her ears were red. She said, I bought too much. I cannot finish it. After a pause, she added, it would be wasteful to throw it away. I said thank you. She said nothing, but the corner of her mouth curled up. At lunch, she walked over carrying her lunchbox and sat beside me. She had always sat across from me before. Something wrong? She said. No. The light is better here. I glanced out the window. It was cloudy today. That evening, we worked late. When I was about to leave, I found she was still there too. You are not leaving? She said. I am waiting for you. I paused. What are you waiting for me for? We can walk home together. It is on the way. I lived in the east of town, and she lived in the west. It was completely out of her way. But I still said okay. As we walked, she suddenly said, Li Q, what I said that day. Do not take it to heart. Which day? She shot me a glare. You know which day I mean. I thought about it. Exactly. I did not take it to heart. She stopped and looked at me. Streetlight fell across her face, making her eyes shine brightly. Li Q, you really are strange. I said, exactly. You believe whatever people tell you. I said, exactly. People insult you, and you never talk back. I said, exactly. I like you, and you do not even know it. I said, exactly. I stopped halfway through. I looked up at her. Exactly. I know. She stood beneath the streetlight, her face flushed red, but her eyes were utterly serious. Li Q, I like you. The wind blew in from the street, stirring the ends of her hair. I stood there, not knowing what to say for the first time. She waited a few seconds. When I said nothing, she spoke again. Why are you not saying exactly this time? I said, because I do not know whether I should. She froze for a moment. What do you mean? I said, when I say exactly, it means I agree with what you said, but I was not sure whether you meant it. She stepped closer until she was very near me. Look at me. I looked at her. Her eyes shone brighter than the street light. Li Q, I like you. She said each word clearly. It is true. I opened my mouth, then closed it again. Then I said, exactly. She smiled, and she looked especially beautiful. Her eyes curved into crescents, and the corners of her lips lifted. She was exactly like the girl I remembered in her graduation gown, running back into the crowd. So, what does that make us now? She asked. I thought about it. I do not know either. Do you want to know? I do. She reached out and took my hand. Her hand was soft and a little cool. Then I will tell you. She said, we are boyfriend and girlfriend now. I said, exactly. She squeezed my hand. Can you say something else for once? I said, okay. She watched me, waiting for what I would say next. I thought about it. I like you too. She froze, then smiled. As she smiled, her eyes began to redden. Li Q, do you know? She said, that to hear you say that. I have waited so many years. I did not know. She gave me an annoyed little punch, but she did not hit hard. Later, we officially moved in together. She was still the same, always saying the opposite of what she felt, never speaking sweetly. In the morning, I would text her, good morning. She would reply, good morning, you know what time it is. But she would add an emoji afterward. It was a picture of a little cat blowing a kiss. At noon, I would bring her lunch. She would say, why is it this place again? I am sick of it. But she would finish every last grain of rice. When we got off work together at night, she would say, walk faster. Stop dragging your feet. But she would quietly slow down, waiting for me to catch up. One time, I asked her, why do you always say the opposite of what you mean? She paused. What do you mean, the opposite? I said, you clearly like something, but say you do not. You are clearly happy, but say you are not. She was silent for a few seconds, then said, it is a habit. I have been this way since I was little. My parents were busy with work, and no one looked after me. I wanted them to spend more time with me, but even when I said so, they would not listen. Later, I stopped saying it. I stopped saying what I wanted at all. And eventually, I became like this. She lowered her head, her voice muffled. I know it is not good, but I cannot change. I thought about it, then said, exactly. It is part of what makes you who you are. If you cannot change it, then do not. She looked up at me. I said, whatever you say, I know you mean the opposite. When you say you do not like me, it means you like me. When you say my smile looks awful, it means you think my smile looks good. When you say I look even worse when I cry, it means it hurts you to see me cry. She stared at me blankly. How do you know? Because I really do know everything. She smiled, and her eyes reddened again. Li Q, you really are. Really am what? Someone I love more than anything. Later, Da Liu asked me, how exactly did you and Gu Qinghan get together? I said, I told her I liked her. She said, but I do not like you. I said, exactly, and then we got together. Da Liu was completely baffled. What kind of logic is that? I said, exactly. I do not know what kind of logic it is either. But I think maybe it was because I said exactly that we ended up together. That night, we sat on the rooftop and watched the stars. There were not many stars visible in the city night sky, but she still tilted her head up, searching earnestly. Li Q, yeah, will you keep saying exactly from now on? I thought about it and said, exactly. I probably cannot change it. She turned to look at me, her eyes shining. Then I will keep saying the opposite too. I said, okay. Can you handle that? Even if I cannot, I will have to. She smiled and leaned against my shoulder. Li Q, yeah. Have I ever told you? Told me what? She fell silent for a moment, her voice very soft. After you turned and left the rooftop that day, I stood there for a long time. And then I realized I had never regretted anything so much in my life. I said nothing. I regretted saying those words. I regretted saying so many things I did not mean to you. I regretted making you wait for so long. She looked up at me, her eyes rimmed red. I mean it, I swear. You do not believe me. I said, exactly. I do not. She froze, then angrily punched me. But as she kept hitting me, she began to laugh. And as she laughed, she began to cry. I held her in my arms, looking at the few scattered stars overhead. I thought, there are all kinds of people in this world. Some are straightforward, while others speak in circles. Some say exactly what is on their mind, while for others, what they say is always the opposite of what they feel. But for some reason, these two kinds of people fit rather well together. She smiled and leaned against my shoulder. Li Q, I like you. I looked at her. Her eyes shone brightly, bright as stars. I said, exactly. She glared at me. There you go again. I said, this time, I really mean it. What do you mean? You said you like me, and I really do like you too. So, exactly. She froze for a moment, then smiled. Her smile was especially beautiful. She said, Li Q, can you say a few more words from now on? Never mind. She quickly changed her mind. You are fine just like this. I said, exactly. She gave my hand a pinch. Say exactly one more time, and I will kiss you. I said, exactly. She leaned over and kissed me. I froze. Her face was flushed red, but her eyes sparkled. Like a child who would sneak some candy, she said, serves you right for saying exactly. I touched my lips. Then I said, exactly. I can say it a few more times from now on. She froze for a moment, then smiled. Still smiling, she buried her face in my chest. We stayed on the rooftop for a long time that night. The city was loud, with traffic rumbling below. Neon lights glowed in the distance. But all I could hear was her breathing, soft and gentle like a cat's. I thought, this was what I wanted. One who says the opposite, and one who says exactly. A perfect match.